1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, here I am. Hello, everybody. Dr. Paul speaking from Quiz HQ right here in Edinburgh, the nation's capital. How are you today? Let me try and get my microphone in the right place. Hello to everybody. Right, who's here? Hello, Noodle Doodles. You're first in the door. Hello, Gregor. Hello, David. Hello, Bill. Hello, Marion. Hello, Raymond. Good to see you too. Hey. All right, it's quiz time, everybody. Scottish football quiz. I ran a little advert on Facebook. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if anybody will come. I've not really been doing much PR for this at all myself. So I'd appreciate a share if anybody feels such a deep sense of warmth and gratitude towards me for making up all these quizzes, then please share the quiz right now. So let's see if we can get a few people in. I mean, that's my responsibility, but I've kind of spectacularly failed to do anything about publicising the quiz this week. I've been too busy writing it and too busy doing 100 other things as well. It's been a difficult week here. Not an unhappy week, just a difficult week, you know. So I'm just going to take a few moments. Right, it's 7 o'clock now. We're going to hit the first question at 5 past, all right? So you're sitting there thinking, wait, sharp, get on with it. I will. Always hit the first question at 5 past. So just give me a couple of moments here to share the quiz. And I say that as if I know what I'm doing right. I'm going over here to get the URL, and I'm going to put this in Facebook. Here. And post it. And I really should have done this, started doing this about an hour ago, but hey ho. Anyway, give us a share if you can. Right. Listen, I'm going to put a little bit of background music on as well. Just to make us feel kind of cool, you know? Because it's quite handy to feel cool. And all I'm going to do is share this on my page and on my personal Facebook. And I've already done it on Twitter. And that'll have to do. Maybe there'll be some people coming in via the advert. I don't know. Okay. All right. Very last minute tonight. Okay, Fraser, Gordon, Graham is here. Eye of the Schweinsteiger. Fraggle Rock, Quizballers, Fabian Society. Everyone's here. All our regular superheroes. Let's get on with this. Let's do it. What was I going to do? I was going to do it on my personal Facebook as well. Man. Come on, computer. Computer's in one of those moods. It's not liking it. Who's asking me to do too much? We managed to pick up a piano for quite cheap. I've been trying to learn how to play Beethoven instead of just doing my work. So it's all my fault. But, you know, now I can play a little bit Beethoven. Alright, here we go. That's a few shares done. If you do me a share, then you do me a big favour, but you also get a point for the quiz. It's 2 minutes past 7. I'm going to be hitting the first question at 5 past. I'll tell you a little bit about the quiz first of all. The quiz here at Dr. Ball Quiz, I run quizzes all week. Tuesday is the only specialist one I do at the moment, which is right now, it's the Scottish football quiz. So welcome. We're going to do a quiz all about Scottish football. If you have absolutely no interest in Scottish football and you don't even know what football is and you're only vaguely sure what Scotland is, you're probably at the wrong quiz, but stay anyway, you might like it. The house rules here at Dr. Ball Quiz are no Tories, no racists, and none of that sort of thing, you know what I mean? The quiz starts soon. Here's how it works. You answer as a team. Now, a lot of you might be playing just by yourself. Some of you might have rounded up a team via Zoom or WhatsApp or stuff like that. If so, you chat amongst yourselves for the to try and work out the answers to the questions and write them down. sketch them down on a bit of paper. Don't shout out answers in the chat. That's in red because it's important. Don't shout out answers in the chat. Just write them down, and then at the end of each round, I'll tell you the answers. You do your own marking. There will be a prize tonight, but there's no prize for top score. So cheating's not an issue. The actual scoring part, the actual quiz part of this is really just for fun. You know what I mean? So, I think you understand. Coming up, this is my online pub quiz. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 7 o'clock on YouTube, 9 o'clock on Facebook. It's not... The rest of the week, it's not special. It's not football. It's just... I say just. It is the quiz. It's great. You love it. Lots of the people here quote that as well. Last time we played the football quiz was last Tuesday. The Fabian Society were at the top of the table. They're the Champions League situation. Full fuzzy. We're up there. Who else we got? Big man, wee Doug. Gordon McCubbin, who's been top most weeks, was down there fighting for the Euro places on 66. Quizballers somehow got 2 lines to themselves. I don't know how I managed that. Huey Lewis in the clues. Stefan Kuntz. Kroffenheim. I'm staring because it's quite small on my screen. 2 cooks too many. Right down the bottom there. Looking at all of these jam tarts. All these back again. Get yourself off the bottom of the table this week. Right, here we go. Before we start, a quick moment in time. Does anyone remember this? Paddy Connolly scores at Firhill for Dundee United, but Les Mottram, the referee, doesn't notice. Waves play on. Partick Thistle get away with murder. Raymond says, I'm a Hearts fan. Am I allowed to participate? Yes. It's as simple as that. Right, okay, here we go. It's 5 past. Here comes the first round. Usually the first round is the same letter round, but to be honest, that takes a while to put together, and I was very short of time today. So, we're starting off tonight with 50-50 round, which is its own kind of challenge. 5 questions, 50-50 answers. Remember, do not shout out answers in the chat. Don't type answers in the chat. Just answer them on a bit of paper and you'll get the answers after each round, okay? Here we go. So 5 questions, 50-50. Number 1 is about the early days of Scottish football. Which Glasgow or West of Scotland football team won the very first Scottish Cup in 1874? Was it Dumbarton or Queen's Park? I realise Dumbarton's not in Glasgow. Ignore the word Glasgow. Which Scottish football team won the very first Scottish Cup in 1874? Was it Dumbarton or was it Queen's Park? Number 2. This is interesting. Which manager of the Scottish national football team, men's team, won the highest percentage of games while they were in charge? Was it Andy Roxburgh or Craig Levein? So which of those, both those men managed the Scotland team, were the manager of the Scotland team, which one had the higher win percentage during the time they were in charge? Andy Roxburgh or Craig Levein? That's question number 2 in the 50-50 round. Number 3. Station. Cartsdyke is the nearest railway station to which ground? Is it Capello or Clifton Hill? So if you like dotting about the lower leagues on a train, which is how I like to get around, and you get off at Cartsdyke, where are you headed? Is it Capello or Clifton Hill? That's question number 3. Number 4 in the 50-50 round is also about grounds. In which decade did Clydebank FC become the first top-level club in British football to have an all-seater stadium? Was that in the 1960s or the 1970s? All-seater is a bit generous. The thing is, they just bolted some bits of wood to the terrace. That's it. It was to get around some regulation or something like that. They weren't really trying to provide the greatest ever, how you say these days, customer experience. Kind of by default or accident, they became the first top-level club in British football to have an all-seater stadium. Clydebank FC. Was that in the 60s or the 70s? Alright. And the last one, number 5, red carpet. Adolf Hitler once watched an Old Firm Cup final at Hampden. Is that true or false? Adolf Hitler went to a Celtic Rangers Cup final at Hampden. Is that true or false? Okay. Yeah, everyone's got something to say about the all-seater thing. You can talk about all-seater stadiums and everyone's got different opinions. Colin Milne there says Meadowbank were actually the first. Well, now they had an all-seater stand, but they also had... it's not really an all-seater stadium because although Meadowbank Thistle never used the bit round the other side, it was a terrace. So I think that's maybe how we talk about that. Anyway, the thing here is to tell me if you're ready or not. 5 questions, 50-50. Don't tell me any answers. Don't shout out answers in the chat. Just tell me if you are ready. Okay? And I'll do a quick recap for anybody who might have missed these. No, says Colin. All seated. So, we're having a very binary argument about that, Colin. Right. The question stands anyway. When did Clydebank get it sorted out? Right, question number 1. Who won the first ever Scottish Cup? Ignore the word Glasgow. Alright, Dumbarton or Queen's Park? Number 2, who had the better win percentage as Scotland boss? Was it Andy Roxburgh or Craig Levein? Number 3, Cartsdyke is nearest which ground? Is it Capello or Clifton Hill? Number 4, in which decade did Clydebank FC become the first, possibly, top-level club? Look, top-level club, that's why it's not Meadowbank. Fuck's sake. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. It's the early quiz. Where is he? Colin, pay attention. Top-level. That wouldn't be Meadowbank, right? In British football to have an all-seater stadium. 60s or 70s. And number 5, Adolf Hitler once turned up to an Old Firm Cup final. Is that true or false? Right, what we got? Fraser's ready. Gordon's ready. Fabian's ready. Eye of the Schweinsteiger is ready. Noodle Doodles are ready. Stefan Kuntz is ready. Bill's ready. Ollie's ready. Alright. I'm going to show you the answers, okay? You ready for this? Right, so... First of all, I'll tell you about scoring. First of all, if you've been here before, if you've done Dot Ball quiz before, whether it's the football quiz or a different one, then you get 2 points. You get a loyalty bonus of 2 points. You also get a point if you or somebody in your team has shared the quiz. Right? You get 1 point for a share. 2 points if you've been here before. So that's a possible 3 points before you even start. And the rest of these are worth 2 points. So here we go. Right, number 1, early days. It's kind of given away because I didn't edit the question very cleverly. But it was Queen's Park. All right, Queen's Park won the first Scottish Cup. I believe they beat a defunct team called Clydesdale in the final. 2-0. I remember that from a few weeks ago. I could be totally wrong, but that's how I remember it. Anyway, correct answer is Queen's Park. 2 points you get for a right answer. Number 2, oh look, there they are. There's something about the way they're just chilling. I noticed there's 11 of them there. You see the cup in the middle? They got the cup right there. I was going to say the guy with the tash has got, but you know. Anyway, who had a better win percentage as Scotland manager? Roxburgh or Levein? It was Craig Levein. Shocker. I'll tell you the exact figures in a second once my computer starts behaving itself. But it was Craig Levein. And by quite a way, I think. Cartsdyke is right next to Capello. Okay, Capello. Just round the corner. That's Morton's ground, which you obviously know. There's a map. You see that? There's... Oops. You see it on the map there. Capello on the right, and the little red marker on the left, near my head there. That's the station. Down on the main road, turn right, go, that's it, you're there. It's great. Number 4. In which decade did Clydebank FC become the first top-level club in British football to have an all-seater stadium? It was the 1970s. Alright. So it was 1977 that they sorted that out. So I think they'd got promoted to the Premier, and there was some regulations, and they were going to fail unless they nailed benches to the terraces. Somehow that worked out that way. Greenock has 9 stations, says Marion. Is that true? Really? 9 railway stations? Or 9 rehabilitation stations? Number 5. Adolf Hitler once turned up at Hampden to see the old firm. Nah, it's false. That's false. Hitler was invited, but he wouldn't go because he's a die-hard Falkirk fan. There's Colin saying nope, but I don't know what he's talking about. Colin, if you're gonna like rage away, you got to say what you're talking about. When you just say nope, you've got to say what that refers to. Otherwise, nobody knows what you're talking about. Right, everyone's going to tell me what you scored. There's the answers for the whole round. Queen's Park, Craig Levine, Capello, 1970s, and false. Yeah, that's right, Raymond. Hitler found the bigotry a bit too much. That's good. 9 for Eye of the Schweinsteiger. So that must be 6 out of 10 plus 2 for being here before and 1 for a share. Right, Colin's saying that there's not 9 train stations in Greenock. I mean, it sounds like a lot. It sounds, I mean, there's Greenock Central, yeah? And there's Cartsdyke, obviously. How many more There's no 9 stations in Greenock. No way. That's madness. The quiz ballers are giving us a little bit of nugget there, telling us that Hitler only ever watched 1 football match, which was a game in the 1936 Olympics. If he'd just been a football fan, maybe he would have chilled out a bit more. Got a Bankies one wrong for the Mangles. Hello, Gaffer. The IBM station. That's not really, is it? It's not really in Greenock though, is it? It's like kind of out the way, out towards Inverkip and all that. IBM Halt it's called, isn't it? There's Fort Matilda station. Look, I don't have time to look this up, but I'm definitely going to look it up at the end of the quiz, right? 9 stations in Greenock. Marion, you need to, alright, includes the ports and Tate and Lyle, IBM, etc. Right, you're trying to justify it. The ports? That's not a station though, is it? There it is, says Marion. Oh, it's good. You know, tonight's good because we're all in a really bad mood, which means it's going to be fun. Right, okay, there's the scores for the answers for the first round. Round 2, let's get straight on to it. Aye, Greenock West. Totally forgot about Greenock West. Fair point, Colin. So somebody probably added in Gourock. Well, see, Gourock's not Greenock, is it? Neither's Port Glasgow. It's different places. It came up in a quiz. Well, if they're counting the ports, that's just stretching it. That's stretching it to all shit. You can't buy a ticket to the port. You know, you can't get... It's not a station. I have said, I mean, that was a mistake, James, the Dumbarton Glasgow thing. I'd rewritten the question but forgot to take out the Glasgow clue. Previous option was Queen's Park or Partick Thistle. I thought, it's no the Jags, you know, so... Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. Round 2, picture round. Okay, here we go. 5 pictures, 5 questions. Picture number 1 here. Who is this player? Jim McLean described this player as his greatest failure, given the amount of talent that the player had compared to the low number of Scotland caps that he won. So who is this player? So obviously worked with Jim McLean, and Jim McLean described this player as his greatest failure in football because the player had so much talent but did not win very many Scotland caps, not as many as Jim McLean thought he should have. Anyway, so who is that player? That's picture number 1. Number 2 is this is mental. Right, it was a leap year this year, and the tradition on leap years is that on the leap day, the 29th of February, women propose to men that they want to marry instead of usually the other way around. So this year, in 2020, which club's mascot was pressed into service by this woman called Jen, who used the disguise of the mascot to sneak up on Bob, who's in the picture, and propose marriage? He went to the game. He had no idea she was there. And it was an away game as well. They're Wraith Rovers fans, right? But it's no Wraith. It's at a different club. Wraith were away, and she goes to the club and says, can I dress up as the mascot and I'll surprise him and ask him to marry me? And the club's like, aye, whatever. Do what you like. So which club is that? You might be able to tell from there it's an elephant, right? Which may or may not help you. The one thing I cannot explain about this is why there's bananas on the banner. Bob Cowie, will you marry me? And a bunch of bananas. Right, gone. Right, this is the sadness of modern football. This turnstile is all that's left of which ground on the original site. That's a Morrison's in the background, by the way. They've destroyed the whole place, built a faceless, shitty supermarket there, and all they've left is a turnstile. Really just to taunt people and make people feel sad. But where is this? So which ground is that? That's all that's left now, just that turnstile and a big stupid Morrison's right behind it. Yeah, Fife's bananas, but really? I mean, I don't know. This programme, this is a what year question, right? So what year did football programmes look like that? You get within 3 years, you get the points. So you see there it's 15 pence for the programme. It's Motherwell versus Airdrie. Saturday the 22nd of December. What year? Have a guess. Just judging by the state of the graphic design and the fact that it's 15p for the programme. Have a guess. If you get within 3 years, you'll get the points. And the last one. Oops. Oh, man, I'm off form tonight, I tell you. What ground is this in the 1950s? Have a look at that. Hopefully you didn't see that. That was the answers for the last one. So what ground is that in the 1950s? Now, if I'm going to recap these questions, I'm going to have to very quickly edit the PowerPoint, so I'm just going to do that. Oh, what a night. I did say at the start of this, it's been a difficult day. Plus, yous are all in a mental mood. But that's okay. I kind of welcome it. Right, all I've got to do is click that, and then remove these. Right, there we go. Oh, Paul, get yourself sorted out. Come on. Right. I'm back on in just a second. Okay, all right, here we go. Right. Here's a quick recap of the questions. Everything seems really difficult tonight. I don't know why. Right, so who's the player? Described by Jim McLean as his own greatest failure in football. Didn't fulfill his potential. Which club was this where a woman from Fife surprises her boyfriend by dressing up as an elephant and then proposing marriage. What ground was that? That's all that's left. Turnstile and a Morrison's. What year did football programmes look like this and cost 15p? Get within 3 years. And the last one is the ground, and I'll leave that on screen for a few seconds. It's a club that's in the top league, all right. Whatever they call it these days. What's it called? Premier League, SPFL, Premiership. Tough round, say the Eye of the Schweinsteiger. Yeah, you tell me if you're ready, everybody. And we'll get on to the answers pretty soon. Hopefully that's all the mistakes used up. There's been one mistake in each round so far. Let's see how many mistakes I can make in one quiz. Okay, Gordon McCubbing is ready. Hello, Gordon. Fraser's ready. Fraggle Rock. David's ready. Marion's ready. Quiz Ballers are ready. I think we're ready for this. Come on, let's do it. Bill's ready. Okay, let's go. So here are the answers. 2 points again for each correct answer. You ready? Here we go. Right, so Scottish player, obviously playing for Manchester United there. He was signed by Alex Ferguson. He appears regularly on lists of worst ever Manchester United signings, which is possibly unfair, but it's Ralph Milne, all right, previously of Dundee United. Although he played for some other English clubs in between. I think he played for Bristol and Charlton, something like that. And didn't really do the business at Old Trafford. I'm trying to resize this so that I don't have that thing at the bottom, but it's like everything else tonight. Things that used to be easier are suddenly really difficult. I'm no bother, right, just leave it. Okay. Ralph Milne was the right answer. Right, okay, this woman, Jen. Bob Cowie said yes. Like, you can't really say anything else when there's a public proposal. You go, aye, okay. I don't know what happened afterwards. His first words to her were, shouldn't you be at work? But then he said yes. But this all happened at Dumbarton. Dumbarton have an elephant called Pelly. That's their Pelly the elephant, you know what I mean? Sounds like Nelly the elephant, but Pelly, like the footballer. Amazing. 2 points for if you got Dumbarton. Number 2, gone. Morrison's in the background, Turnstile in the front. It must cut you to the bone every time you see it. If you're a fan of this club, it's Brockville, so Falkirk. All right, Falkirk FC used to play at Brockville. Great ground, great fun. And now I've never even been to the new Falkirk ground. I don't want to go. It's one of the few I've not been to, but I've got absolutely no desire to go there. The Dumbarton story came up on here a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember. I must have. Were you talking about it in the chat? Right, the programme. You had to get within 3 years. I might have gone a little later. I might have gone into the 80s, but the right answer here is 1979. Alright. 22nd December 1979. So if you got anywhere between 76, look at that, there's another mistake, and 82, that should say. What a night. 76 to 82 gets you the points. Fraser saying Brockville's the worst ground I've ever been to. Nah, I liked it. And the last one there, whose ground is that? Way back in the 1950s. A big terrace at the far end there. That's towards the sea. It's the beach end. Yeah, it's Aberdeen. It's Pittodrie. That's the old Aberdeen ground. So, yeah, a bit of a mare. Yeah, I just didn't have an awful lot of time on my hands today. I'm trying to do stuff here at home with my daughter, and the football quiz takes ages to write because I have to do lots of new questions. The other quizzes don't take that long to write because I use a lot of material that's already in the database. Yeah, me too, Derek. Same thing. I loved Brockville, says Derek, although it was a proper dump. Miss grounds like that. I can't do that, Raymond, because I've got other quizzes to write for tomorrow. Stuff to do. That'd be great, but Horlicks and early bed. Nah, it's just been a difficult day. The wee corner stand gave me it. Alright, okay. See, I don't recognise that from the old days. Is that still there? Is that... Nah, surely that... Is that main stand still there? The one that's there in the 50s? I don't know Pittodrie that well. I've only ever been Pittodrie once. Guessed Hamilton and not Falkirk. I don't know what they got at Hamilton. Is that a Tesco? Marion's saying 6 points. Pittodrie Merkland stand wall is still there, as in the photo. Yeah, yeah. Just at the there, just at the bottom right hand corner. Didn't know Ralph Milne. I went for 1983. You got a Pittodrie one. And that's still the main stand. Right, there you go. Right, there's all the answers together. Let's move on. What we got now? Right, this is... I'm going to give you 1 minute to solve this. It's a pictorial clue, right? So you try and get the name of a player from a pictorial clue. I will give you 1 minute on my super clock to solve it. Just give me super clock in operation. There it is. So there we go. Start the minute and then that. Who's the player? Don't shout out the answer, but do tell me if you get it. Just write ready or got it or something like that in the chat. Try and read the picture clue as best you can, and it refers to a footballer. A player who was born in 1956 in Lanark. Most of his career was in the 80s and 90s. Well, his entire career was in the 80s and 90s. Most of the 80s, almost the whole 80s and a bit of the 90s. So who's this player? We're down to 22 seconds already. There's 20 seconds. Edinburgh based for most of his career. There's another little clue. In fact, he was a Hearts player. Think you got it? Think you've got it? There's the clock. There's the time up. You've got right up until I reveal it to get it. The right answer is Henry Smith. Henry Smith, goalkeeper. So why is that Henry Smith? Because on the left there is Henry the Green Engine out of the Thomas the Tank Engine stories. And on the right there's the Smiths. So any of them would be a Smith. Yeah, Henry Smith. Good goal, great goalkeeper. Tremendous goalie. Not a Hearts fan, but always liked seeing Henry Smith. I was a goalkeeper, you know. So. Right, correct score round. Oh, by the way, if you got that right, that's just 3 points if you got that one right. Okay. Round 4 is the correct score round. Got Smith, but not Henry. If you got that, if you got half of it, give yourself 1 point. Noodle doodles. And anyone else who got the got half of it. So Marion, yeah, you got the Smith bit. 1 point. Okay. Correct score round. This is a good round. So I'm going to show you 5 famous fixtures. And you've got to remember what the score was. That's it. If you get the right result for any of them, you get 1 point. And if you get the exact correct score, you get 2 points. So there's 10 points available here. Here are tonight's games. So the first one, there's a few Hearts fans here. You'll know this, just like that. Hearts against Rangers in the Scottish Cup Final 1998. The score at 90 minutes. So write down what you think the score was at 90 minutes. If you get the right result, like Hearts win or Rangers win or a draw, then you get 1 point. If you get the exact correct score, you get 2 points. You know what I mean? I think you do. Here's number 2, second game in tonight's correct score round, is Scotland versus Iran in Cordoba in Argentina in 1978. What was the score in that game? World Cup, yeah. So the Argentina 1978 World Cup, at a place called Cordoba. Scotland versus Iran. What was the final score? Number 3 is a little bit more obscure. It was the final day of League 2, 2018 to 19, so the last season that actually got finished properly. And it was a day on which one of those teams clinched the championship. Right? So what was the score? Have a guess. Queen's Park versus Peterhead. One of those teams clinched the League 2 championship on that day. What was the score? I noticed a couple of you were saying Muirton for the turnstile question in the pitch round. Good guess. There's quite a few grounds have been destroyed and taken away. I've said this before, but I prefer Scottish football in the old days. Can't stand these big out of town things. I noticed last week that Dundee wanted to move as well. I didn't know anything about that, but they want to move. No good. Keep the old ones. Right. The fourth match in this round is Wraith Rovers versus Bayern Munich. Now this was the UEFA Cup second round, first leg game, and it was played at Easter Road. And I don't know if that was because Wraith Rovers were trying to maximise their income, or whether it was because Starks Park wasn't compliant. I'm not sure which it was. But it was a fairly famous encounter. Wraith Rovers versus Bayern Munich. What was the score? And it's just the first leg. Alright, first leg at Easter Road. And the last game here. Once again, we're mentioning Dumbarton. This is the third time we've mentioned Dumbarton tonight. Dumbarton versus East Fife, and this is the last ever Dumbarton match at Boghead, which took place in May 2000. Right, thanks Gordon, I knew somebody would know. Starks Park failed the UEFA check. Well, they failed to find a big bag of money when they investigated it. So write down scores for all 5 of those. Tell me when you're ready, and then I'll show you the actual scores, and you can do your marking accordingly. Yeah, the old grounds were the best built. What's the best sort of old ground that still exists? Probably Somerset Park, yeah. That's proper old school. That's not changed much. Although I've not been down there for a few years. Where else? I mean, Starks Park itself is, you know, still appealingly old. Some of it. Capel is good. Palmerston, yeah, I've not been down at Palmerston for a few years, but I went to quite a few games down there in sort of early 2000s, and I did like going there. Great ground. I'm presuming it hasn't changed too much in the last 15 years, I don't know. I ain't been down there for a while. Clueless but ready, says Ollie. That's the way to do it. Yeah, I think it's more difficult this week. Arbroath. Arbroath is a good ground, but you die of exposure. So that's kind of the caveat there. Thinking about things up that way. Forfar's alright. Again, not been there for a while. I went there a few times when Thistle were down in the 2nd division. Aye, yes, it's cold. Somehow we always end up every single Tuesday talking about how cold Gayfield is. I won't tell you about the story about the time I nearly died, because I think I've told that a few times now. Right, anyway. Brecon, says Marion. She likes that one with its unique feature. Won't say any more in case it's a question later on. We're talking about the hedge. Don't worry, it's not in the quiz tonight. Right, you all ready? Here we go. You know how this goes, right? 1 point for a correct result. Both points for an exact correct score. So here we go. Hearts versus Rangers, Scottish Cup final 1998, which was played at Celtic Park. It was Hearts 2, Rangers 1. And that was the 90-minute score. Colin Cameron and Stefan Adam were scorers for Hearts. Ali McCoist got one back for Rangers, but Hearts held on for the win. So if you got any other type of Hearts win, you got 1 point. But if you got exactly 2-1, then you got both points. Okay, that's how this works. If you don't understand, just ask me in the chat. Right, Cordoba, 1978, Argentina, everything going wrong. Ali McLeod having one of those World Cups, a bit like the kind of quiz I'm having tonight with the mistakes. Scotland 1, Iran 1. And that was it, pretty much, for Scotland. Not quite. There was still a chance, but it didn't play out. Didn't even score in that game. It was an own goal by an Iran player, Eskandarian. Darren saying, what team do you support? It was more or less part of Thistle, but I don't really see them very much these days. I live in Edinburgh now. I go and see Edinburgh City. Queen's Park, Peterhead. This is the final day of League 2 in 2018-19. It was Queen's Park 0, Peterhead 2. Clyde could have taken a championship, but I think they drew or lost that day, and Peterhead ended up 4 points ahead at the top of the table. Raith Rovers versus Bayern Munich. Now, how did Raith Rovers get into the UEFA Cup? Did they win the League Cup? Is that what happened? Anyway, they got past a few teams. They got past a couple of Icelandic teams. Then they found themselves up against Bayern Munich. Played the game at Easter Road because, as Gordon says, I think it was Gordon said that Starts Park failed the UEFA thing. It was Raith Rovers 0, Bayern Munich 2. There was a famous episode where Raith Rovers were ahead, but that was in the return leg. That was in the Olympic Stadium in Munich. The Coca-Cola Cup, yeah, League Cup back then. That's right, of course they beat Celtic. Oh dear. Here's a wee bonus point. Which famous German international player scored both goals that night for Bayern Munich? This is just for fun, not for an extra point actually, just for fun. Let's see who gets it first. Who scored both goals for Bayern Munich in that game, according to the thing I read earlier on? I can't remember it myself. Jurgen Klinsmann, that's right, Connor. Connor Cunningham gets it right there. Robert Jones just behind him. No extra points for that, just a bit of fun. It was Jurgen Klinsmann. I think that was the only time Jurgen Klinsmann scored 2 at Easter Road. Right, in the last match ever at Bog Head. Do we have Dumbarton fans? James, are you a Dumbarton fan? Is that right or not? Am I mixed up? But the last ever match at Bog Head, it was the last home league game of the season for Dumbarton that year, May 2000, and it ended up Dumbarton 2, East Fife 1. So a home win for Dumbarton the last ever time at Bog Head. That was a good ground. So what do you reckon? I think that was quite difficult this week. The correct score round. What did you score? I thought that was more difficult than usual. Well, Hearts and Rangers, I think most people would know that one. Definitely get a result anyway. I think most of you would know Scotland-Iran. It's pretty famous. But the Queen's Park and the Dumbarton game, a lot more obscure. And the Wraith Rovers one, you might have got mixed up about the time where Wraith Rovers went ahead. One miserable point for Marion. Yes, it looks like it was a difficult round. 1 point. Blimey. And 1 point for Graham Scott as well. For I have the Schweinsteiger. Wooden spoon this week? Well, you never know. Guess the last one, says Gordon. 9 points. What, you guessed it right? You guessed the last one and got it right. You got Dumbarton 2, East Fife 1. That's a hell of a guess. Ollie Olsen got 5. Noodle Doodle saying 8. Yes, difficult-ish. The Fabian Society got 10. I don't know why people memorise this shite. Outrageously, we got 10. Thanks to the 2 Collins. Nice work, Raymond. Right, let's move on. Blanco, this is a new round. Fill in the blanks, yeah. Let's do it. The year is 1992. Scotland are brilliant. Well, compared to now, anyway. And they've qualified for Euro 92. And they're over there in Sweden, where the tournament took place, and they're playing against the Netherlands. All right, Scotland versus the Netherlands. Just fill in the 5 blanks. That's it. And tell me when you're ready. So, that's the starting lineup. Gorham in goals. McKimmie, Malpass, McClare, McStay and McAllister are all on the pitch. But who else is there? And I've left the first letters in, which should help you quite a bit. And I'm not sure, maybe that makes it too easy, but you tell me. Tell me when you've got 5 answers and we'll move on. This is 2 points per name that you get. Alright. Scotland ended up losing the game, but I think, you know, did themselves credit. They only lost 1-0 to the Dutch, who were a great side at that time. And we lost to the Germans as well, but then we thumped the Russians. None of that would happen these days. Getting pipped by the odd goal. We'd get absolutely slaughtered by all of those teams. But this was back in the good old days. Oh yeah. While you're looking at that, just because it's Andy Roxburgh, let me just go back to that question in the first round. I'll tell you the winning percentages, the difference between Levine and Roxburgh. Let's have a look. Yeah. Actually, no. It wasn't that much difference. Andy Roxburgh had 38% win rate. Craig Levine had 42%. Will Scotland ever be great again at football? That's not a quiz question. That's just a sort of existential wail. But if you've got the answer, then I'd love to hear it. A howl into the darkness. Gordon saying ready. Marion saying I was there and I'm struggling to remember. I feel your pain, Marion. Like I don't have a catalogue mind when it comes to football. I've been to loads and loads and loads and loads of football games, but I'd be crap at this. You know, it's a good job I'm on this side of it. Actually, you know what? See this particular question, probably do okay. But I don't remember scores that well. I remember how things smelled. Gordon's ready. Fraggle Rock are ready. Quiz ballers are ready. Noodle Doodles are ready. It's funny, I don't really remember watching the Euro 92 tournament. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was in a drink and drugs haze. That's right. 1992. But it must have been a big deal because it was the first time we'd qualified for the Euros. I can't remember. I must have been in Glasgow, but I can't remember watching any of the games. Got 4, says Bill, but guessing 1. Marion's ready. Noodle Doodles are ready. Right, let's do it. So, you ready? This is Blanco, filling in the blanks. Here we go. 2 points for each of these. Here come the answers. I think you're all ready. You need to be ready because it's time up, alright? Okay, so Andy Gorman goals. At the back is Richard Gough. I bet most of you got that one. 2 points for Richard Gough. Number 8. Played a load of games for Scotland. Dave McPherson. Hearts and Rangers most of his career. And quite a lot of games for Scotland as well. So that's the defence. In midfield, who's that at number 7 with a G? It's Gordon Durie. The Ullevi Stadium's in Gothenburg, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is, Marion. I think that's where this game was. Then Brian McClare and Paul McStay in the midfield. Who else is there? It's Stuart McCall. See, Scotland was always better when we had ginger players. You know, ginger people. We need to have ginger people in the team. It just works. And the last one, who's that up front? It's Ali McCoist. So there you go. There's your answers all together. Richard Gough, Dave McPherson, Gordon Durie, Stuart McCall, and Ali McCoist. Alistair McCoist, as he always seems to be on team sheets. But Ali McCoist. Right, so what did you get? Did you get him? How'd you get on? How many points did you get? Yeah, it was a load of mix. I noticed that when I was putting this together. McKimmie, McPherson, McClare, McStay, McCall, McAllister, and 6 of them, and McCoist. 7 out of the starting lineup are mix. That's what we need. We need people called Mick and people who are ginger, and then Scotland might be good at football again. You need like one ginger person in the team at the time. At a time. Mix and Max, yeah. Right, 2 Coots, too many, got 8. Gordon got all 5, so 10 points. Fabian's got 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for the quiz ballers. Good stuff. Excellent. Well done. Was that too easy with the letter? No, maybe not. Noodle Doodle's only got 2 out of 10. 6 for Marion. Got Stuart McCall, and I'm very pleased. We got 8. Yeah, Stuart McCall was a good player. Good Scotland player. Like, I'm no expert on the game. I love football, but I'm no expert. I can't look at a player and go, oh, he's a really good player. It's like, but you got that vibe off of Stuart McCall that he was busting a gut. That's all you want when you're a fan. You just want him to try a bit. You don't want him standing around looking lazy. Can't stand that. Needed an easier round, says Graham. So you're saying that, alright, yeah, because you got 10 out of 10. So you're saying that was easier, but welcome for it. Right, good. Let's move on to the last round. This is the last round, I think. Yes. Double or bust. Right, this is where it all comes down. By the way, there was that league table of scores from last week at the start of the quiz. I'll do another one tonight, but I'll get you to upload your scores after this next round. So that's how we do the league table. Yeah. Well, hang on, that doesn't make any sense, Robert. I mean, and straight away that looks like good theory. You're saying we don't qualify at World Cups because ginger players in the middle of summer. Thing is, qualification's not in the summer though, is it? Qualification's through the winter. So we should do better. We should qualify every time and then get absolutely scorched when we get there. You know? Blistered out of the competition by a temperature over 15 degrees. Anyway, Scotland. One of these days. Right, double or bust round. So the double or bust round goes like this. You get 4 points for our correct answer. That means double points. So that means you can get 20 points if you get them all right. There's 5 questions. Just straight Scottish football trivia questions. 5 of them. 4 points for every right answer. But if you put a wrong answer down in this round, you get 0 points for the round. Alright, that's bust. So you got to be careful. You got to decide which ones you're going to answer. You can avoid getting bust by leaving blanks. If you leave a blank, nothing bad happens. But if you write down an actual incorrect answer, then you bust. You get 0 points for the round. So it's up to you. It's up to you how many and which of these you go for. You ready? Here we go. Can you say hello to wee Callum? Hiya, Callum. Hello, wee Callum. Woohoo! Love you too. Right, here we go. Double or bust. Get serious. Get down. So goalkeepers. Number 1. Who is Scotland's most capped goalkeeper? 91 appearances for the national side. Who has had more appearances for Scotland than anybody else as goalkeeper? That's question number 1. It is a bit more tricky tonight, isn't it? The questions are quite good tonight. If I just double checked it a few more times, you know. But I had to go to Sainsbury this afternoon. All that stuff. Difficult day. Difficult Tuesday. First world problems for sure, but difficult. Right, number 2. Dane. Morten Vikhorst, a Danish player, but he played in Scotland for a long time. He played most games for which Scottish club? There was 2 clubs that he played a lot of games for in Scotland. Which one did he play more games for? Might not be the first one you think of. Or it might be. I don't know. But Morten Vikhorst played most games for which Scottish... There's another mistake. Vikhorst. It's got an R in his name. Vikhorst. What you're really seeing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is like a second draft. I'm slightly embarrassed. Not that much, but slightly. Okay, number 3 in the double or bust round is a manager question. Who was Kilmarnock manager from 2002 to 2010? And this was the last time that the club had a boss that lasted for more than 100 games. So like a lot of modern clubs, sacked a manager, sacked a manager, sacked a manager. But from 2002 to 2010, they had just the one manager in charge down at Rugby Park. Who was that? Who was Kilmarnock boss from 2002 to 2010? Remember, you don't have to answer these. You can leave blanks. Leaving blanks equals no trouble at all. But if you put an actual wrong answer down, you get bust. Number 4, Hollywood. What was the title of the 2002 film that was based around the adventures of a small-town football team with Robert Duvall playing the manager and Ali McCoist playing the star striker? What was the name of that movie? Hollywood. The film industry. I don't think Harvey Weinstein was involved, so I don't think it's... I think we're allowed to ask this, you know what I mean? Under hashtag #MeToo rules. I think it's okay. I don't think Ali McCoist was unduly bothered by the producers. Okay, what was the title of that film? And then the last one, crowd. All right, this is difficult, or is it? Guess the attendance. Alloa Athletic versus Partick Thistle, 4th of January 2020. Get within 500. There's nothing particularly special about this game. It wasn't amazingly high or amazingly low. It's quite a typical attendance. And obviously that's the what they call the championship. The second tier. Alright, Alloa Athletic, just after New Year. I was at the game, actually. The only Thistle game I managed to get to in the last year. Get within 500 to get the points. 500 of the attendance. And that's it. If you get within 500, then you get the points. Outside of that, you get a bus. So it's a 1,000 windows. If you're 500 out, you get the points. If you're 501 out, like Eric Bristow, then you bust. Okay, tell me if you're ready. I'm going to really quickly recap these questions. Who is Scotland's most capped goalkeeper? 91 caps. Fraser's going for them all. Nice. Which club did Morten Weghorst play most games for in his career in Scotland? Danish international. Won several caps for Denmark, but which Scottish club did he play most games for? Number 2, who was Kilmarnock boss 2002 to 2010? Last time they had a proper long-lasting boss. Number 4, what was the title of the film? Hollywood Came to Scotland. Robert Duvall made a film with Ally McCoist. I've never seen it. I bet it's dead good. You know, up to a point. What was the name of that film? And the crowd question, so just guess the attendance. How many people turned out to see Alloa versus Partick Thistle earlier this year, just after New Year? Gregor saying balls in rather than balls out. If you answer all 5, you can claim that you're going balls out. That's what balls out means. Balls out for the Fabians. Erse like a rabbit's nose. Over number 5 though. Yeah, it's pretty tight. Noodle Doodle says it was rubbish. I'm guessing they're talking about the film, because I was at Alloa versus Partick, and that was quite good. Quite a good game. I enjoyed it anyway. Thistle got 2 penalties in the space of about a minute in that game. Missed the first one, scored the second one. Same player. Right. Some of you going for 3, some of you going for 5. It's time to find out the answers. You ready for this? Here we go. Double or bust answers. Right, goalkeeper. Did you get this one? Jim Leighton. It was Jim Leighton, who, of course, was a highly successful goalkeeper and also a Hindu god, which was helpful. 4 points if you said Jim Leighton. If you said anything else, you bust. If you left it blank, no problem. You don't get a bust for leaving it blank. Number 2, the Dane, Morten Weghorst. He played for 2 clubs in his career in Scotland, or 2 main clubs, which was Celtic and Dundee, but he turned out most for Dundee. There he is. He was Dundee for... It was actually pretty close. 90 games, I think, for Dundee, and then he was signed by Celtic, and he played for 86 games for them, so it was very, very close, but marginally it was Dundee. So... I don't know if anyone might have got a bust on that one going for Celtic. I don't know. Number 3, Kilmarnock manager 02 to 2010. That's Jim Jeffries, isn't it? There he is, having a shout. Quite a shouty type manager. Old school. Number 4, the name of the film, which the Noodle Doodles are confirming is pish, is Robert Duvall, Ally McCoist. It was called A Shot at Glory. I'll say it in American accent. A Shot at Glory. It's a pretty uninspiring tagline, to be honest. A small town, a small team, a big dream. A small town, a small team, a big dream. Shattered glory! I've got to see it. I have to watch it at some point. I can't let that go by. But a shot at glory is the right answer for 4 points. And the last one, right, here's where it all comes down. Alloa versus Thistle, 4th of January 2020. One of the numbers was myself, and there was a bunch of other people. In fact, there were another 1,826. So the figure is 1,827. So if you got between 1,327 and 2,327, then you get the points. Outside of that, you got bust. Now, interesting to see what you think about the crowd question, because I don't know if that's easy or hard. There's all the answers together. Jim Layton, Dundee, Jim Jeffries, a pair of Jims in that round. Shot at glory and 1827. So 1327 to 2327. Ollie's bust. What'd you get bust on? If you do get bust, tell us what you got bust on. Alright? And say what you put instead of the right answer. In there, like swimwear. I've not heard that expression before, Fraser. It's kind of nasty. A wee bit pervy. Boom! Went for 1800. Yes! Just the 27 out. I'm gonna ask you to upload your scores, everybody. I'm gonna give you the link for that. Wee Team's score. Here it is. So, do me a favour and upload your scores, and then I'll make a league table. Also, I do this for tips. Alright, I know there were some mistakes tonight, but a pretty good quiz, I think. I think it was quite a good quiz tonight. So if you think it was worth a tip for me, give me a tip. Then I'd be delighted to get that. I'll give you a link for that as well. It goes to PayPal. Alright? You don't have to have a PayPal account. You can use a bank card. That works as well. So I would be delighted to get any tips off of you. Thank you very much. Try to feed a family here. Yeah, I'm a quiz master. I'm a pub quiz master, but I can't do quizzes in pubs now because they are shut. And some of them are opening, but only for takeaway beers. So there ain't going to be any pub quizzes very soon. So I'm trying to get an online pub quiz situation going. And I apologise for a couple of wee errors in there, but I think it was quite a good quiz. You know, that's up to you to say it was a good quiz or not, but I thought it was alright. 56 for Bill, delighted with that. 16 for that round, 60 in total for the quiz ballers. Stefan Kuntz, 50 in total. Bill says, got all four I went for, 16 points. Based on the average Thistle crowds, went for 1551. Yeah, that's not a good guess, you know. Two Cooks finish on 50. Gordon McCummon's back on top. Looks like a good score overall for the McCubbing. Is he back on top? Has he beat the Fabians? Because I think the Fabians were scoring pretty well as well tonight. Marion says only slightly better than last week, scored 39, but that's all you need to do. You just do a little bit better every week, you know, and eventually you'll be mastermind. Gordon got 63 in the end. Right. Yeah. So even one of our top players has got a brutal quiz tonight, says Jason. Yeah, I think it was a little bit more difficult. Best football one so far. I think we're kind of finding the level for this. Tough quiz tonight. Right, a couple of you are saying that the quiz was tough tonight. Tell me this, do you enjoy that? Is that better? I'm guessing you like it a bit better. 52 points for Fraggle Rock. Class quiz, says Jason. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. This is the balance as a quizmaster. You try to make it like gettable, but still, you know, enough difficulty so you're not bored, you know. Sore heads for Noodle Doodles. A lot better. Tough is good. Right, okay, you like it. PayPal shite for me. I mean, Bill, it works with a card. You don't need a PayPal account, okay? You could do a bank transfer if you really wanted. I'll send you a message, right? That's the only other thing I've got at the moment. But thanks for the thought. I'm going to put the link in as well, just for uploading your score in case anybody missed that. So where are we? Here it is. Derek says it was definitely more difficult tonight, but I do prefer that. Right, okay, yeah. I've used up all the easy questions. You know what? See, when I started this, I was using questions from my old database, and that's designed for general pub quiz consumption, where a lot of people are not big football fans. So the football questions I did have for them were tended to be on the easy side, you know. Obviously, if I'm promoting this as a Scottish football quiz, yeah, people who turn up to this are going to be, they're going to know the easy ones, you know. So again, a little bit more into the difficult stuff. Bill says I found it easier. Got lucky and a few hearts answers. There was a little bit of HMFC content tonight. Yeah, football quizzers do like tough ones. I try to make it not like mental though. I mean, like, you get some people, and some of them might be you, right? I don't know. But football fans can tend to be on the sort of there's no easy way to say this, but on the spectrum, you know, when it comes to remembering facts and players and goals and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And personally, I find it just a wee bit dull when it's like, I don't know, like mega facts. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's kind of hard to say. I always try to make my quizzes accessible. So even if you're like a sort of I'm a fair weather football fan. Let's face it, you know. I'm not a diehard at all. I like going to football. I like going to football a lot. Get away from the wife. But I'm not a diehard, and I've never been like particularly partisan for any. I'm a Thistle fan, you know, but also I'm not that bothered. It's folk who are real super fans of one team. They get right into it, and that's good. That's great. That's up to them. But I'm not like that, you know. And when it's not your team, it's got to be something accessible. Anyway, anal, says Bill. Yeah, that's maybe the word that I was trying to avoid. I don't know. No pressure for. If you don't know about Ollie's based down in Huddersfield. Doesn't really know about Scottish football. Comes here because he's got a couple of friends who do. So being the English person here, who you can just easily cruise along as part of a team and go, I don't know that one. I'm from Huddersfield. I don't know it. But then, when he does know one, he's like a genius because he knows something about Scottish football. A bit of educated guessing. James Bonner says, bit of educated guessing. Like Dumbarton beating East Fife 2-1 on the last day of the season. East Fife were already promoted at that point. Yeah, I like it accessible. See, I'm not like I was saying, I'm not a partisan person, right? I followed Thistle for many years, especially in the 90s. Right? Got a little bit hardcore in the 90s. Used to go to away games, you know. All over Scotland. Because Thistle were up and down the leagues, you see. We were down in 2nd division. What was the 3rd tier. So you go to places like, well, Ross County were down there back at that time. Berwick. Stenhousemuir. And then they won back-to-back championships, won the 2nd division. That was at Stirling. In the 1st division, that was at Love Street. Great stuff, brilliant stuff. But then I went and got married, you know. I kind of put a bit of a damper on it. Now, if I get a Saturday off, if I get a pass on a Saturday, I like to just go to a game. Any old game. started doing a few non-league places as well, which is great. Went to some great cup games this year, non-league. Bonnyrigg versus Clyde. That was good. That was really good. And Broxburn versus Cowningbeath. That was a cracker. Good to get these wee grounds. And a couple of years ago went out to, I think my favourite little ground in the non-leagues was so far, anyway, has been Linlithgow. Lithgow Rose. And it was against Forfar. And it was a bastard of a game. It was amazing. I think it was like 4-4 in the end, or 3-3, something like that. Absolutely hosing down with rain. It's fantastic. And you just, it's quick. Edinburgh's great for that. You just hop there on the train, bang, you're there. Off the train, down to ground. Fantastic. Anyway, thanks for coming to the quiz, everybody. Alright. Thanks, Raymond. I'd forgotten about it, but I'm glad someone else didn't. One of the Collins just looked it up. There are definitely 8 stations serving Greenock. My mind's blown. That's not the 9 that Marion was claiming. Let's see. Greenock train stations. I'm gonna look it up myself. I've got no time for these facts that like stretch a point. You know, if you're counting docks and stuff like that, stations where you can't actually go, that's no good. But let's see. I'm gonna do a bit of my own research here. Greenock train stations, right? So you got Greenock Central, Greenock West, Drumfrocker. Didn't know that one. Wooden Hill, Branchton. Right. What's going on? I think it's like there's a line goes off to Greenock. Sorry, to Gourock. And the other line goes up through the hills. IBM Halt and all that. Fort Matilda. I mean, is that still Greenock? I suppose it is. Bogston, Carterstike, Greenock Central, Win Hill, Dumfrocker, Greenock West, Fort Matilda, Branchton, and IBM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, if you're counting IBM, then yeah, 9. That's mental. It's got its own system. Greenock. What a place. One of my main memories of Greenock is the election, 97. I was doing coverage there for the media. I was at the count. It was safe Labour seat anyway, but it was huge excitement because, of course, Labour won that night and overturned 18 years of Tory. So that's my memory of Greenock. Anyway, thanks for coming to the quiz. Interesting if you're a train spotter or if you just use trains. I mean, it's a tidy. It's not a big town, Greenock. Were you at Firhill in the snow when Aberdeen played and at half-time groundsman tried to sweep the snow off the lines and the head fell off the brush and the Dons fans were singing "You've only got one brush"? No, I missed that. I was at a disco that night. You never wrote the question. Well, I mean, it depends. It really depends how you classify Fort Matilda and IBM. If you're calling those within Greenock, then you can say 9. The others are definitely within Greenock. Fort Matilda's pretty close. Yeah, it comes down to the IBM one. If you're not counting IBM, then 8. If you are counting IBM, then 9. But there's one thing for sure, and that's there's a hell of a lot of railway station options in Greenock. Right. I'm literally... a shot at Tory. There's not enough politics / Scottish football Hollywood movies is there? We need to write something. Tell your friends about the quiz. I'm going to be doing it for another couple of weeks at least. I'm going to do it to the end of June, so there's 23rd, 32, definitely 2 more Scottish football quizzes. If the numbers go up, I'll keep doing it in July. Otherwise, I'll not. You know what I mean? Because it takes a bit of time to put together. But I like it. I enjoy it. So tell other people about it. Greenock and the bus windows got tanned. There's a story that many people can tell. Thank you, Raymond. Appreciate that. Marion says, the professional quizmaster on the night asked the question and none of us got it right. How did he phrase the question? Did he just say, how many railway stations are there in Greenock? Because if he did, then that's a boring question. Or, you know, incredibly difficult question to get right. Was it multiple choice? Or did he say, which town in the west of Scotland has got 9 railway stations, including Bogston and Cartsdyke? Because that would be quite good. That would be a better way to do it. You've got to do questions that are gettable, you know what I mean? There's no fun in questions that are just bloody impossible. The point is to get enough people getting it right. You know what I mean? He said, which town in Scotland, brackets, not city, has the most stations? Yeah, it's a bit boring, isn't it? I would make that one either multiple choice or I would name some of the stations. Because that's the good thing about that. You can name Branchton, Drumfrocker, Windhill, Cartsdyke, Bogston, and Fort Matilda. You can name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the stations without actually naming the town. So that's good. You know, because otherwise, because if you don't know, you're just like, well, I don't know, I'll just pick a town in Scotland. But if you've got, say, Bogston, Branchton, Fort Matilda, if you Fort Matilda especially is the sort of name you remember. Fort, you know, you got Fort William, you got Fort Augustus, but Fort Matilda, it's quite unusual. You know, unusual sounding. So you might remember that. Give something people to work with, you know. But otherwise you're just thinking, I don't know, Paisley, Perth, Airdrie. I think Airdrie's got quite a few. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Talking about Scottish train stations. My dad took me to Greenock to watch Hearts and lost me. Jesus. I was found walking around the pitch with a policeman. He wasn't allowed to take me again. How old were you, Gordon? God. That must be... I've never lost my kid when I've been out, but it must be an amazingly horrible feeling when you lose your kid and you're out and you're like, oh no. Probably not because you'd have any fear, because something like that you'd think, right, the kid will get found, the police will have the kid. You know, it'll be alright. But just more the kind of bollocking you're going to get when you get home, you know. You were 30 when your dad lost you. I got soaked at Capello at least twice. About 7-year-old, right? Yeah. Can you remember it? Do you remember being scared, or were you totally okay? You're just having a great day out. How did it feel? How did it happen? Was there a goal? Did you all go down the terrace and you got split up, or did somebody go away to the toilet and come back and then that was it, or what? How did it happen? I'm quite glad that I had a daughter rather than a son and she's not really interested in football. Because I don't have to take her to games. I don't think I'd like to take her son to games. I go to football to get away from people. Well, I remember telling my mum, yeah, well that's the thing, isn't it? See, if you're the dad and you lose the kid, you're not going to, you know straight away you're not going to get away with it. The kid's going to tell. Even if you promise the kid sweets. Marion says, first time I went to an Aberdeen away game at Hamilton, I followed the red and white scarves only when the Dons came out. Alright, and got booed. Did I realise I was in the home end and Hamilton played red? Brilliant. Genius. My dad took me to Easter Road a few times, says Bill, when I was about 8. Wish I had got lost. And had the last laugh as me and brothers are jambos. Too much stress taking a kid to the football. It's probably alright now. Seats, you can't get lost. Everyone's arranged in rows. You can't really lose yourself, can you? These days. I mean, that game actually that I was talking about, Alloa versus Partick Thistle, that's quite good. Still had an open terrace there. You still could have lost a kid at that game, more or less. Only 1,800 people, obviously, but not like old days when there was like 90,000 people at every single game, every single week. That was good. Yeah, my dad used to take me Easter Road when I was a kid. And but he wouldn't take us to games against Celtic or Rangers. Or Hearts. So we used to go and see Hibs versus anybody else. I remember thinking of the place. That's when I started liking it. It's all the noise and the people and the smoke and everything. Right? Listen, I better get out of here. I've got to get dinner together now for my daughter and myself, and I'll be back tomorrow night doing the normal quiz. Thanks very much. I'll send you a thing with the bank on it, Bill. Thanks for asking about that. If anybody is still here and would like to make a donation to keep me and my family in one piece, then there we go. There's the link. Right, last couple of things here. Marion says, I was a young lass at the time, early 20s. Had to get escorted around the trackside with police into the away end. To much whistling and catcalling. My face was as red as my scarf. Brilliant. Wrong end. I can only really remember being in the wrong end once. It was Partick Thistle were away at Ayr. Scottish Cup. Round about the year 2000, something like that. And we got down there at Somerset Park and it was full. The away end was full. The Thistle end was full. They weren't letting anybody else in. And the Ayr end was pretty busy, but we were still in space, so we took our scarves off, put them in the pocket. That's it. Queued up, pretending to be Ayr fans. Wanted to see the game, you know. And we got in. It was okay. Ayr won. We didn't celebrate when they scored. And it was a weird experience. We actually stood fairly close to the Thistle fans and had the experience of people shouting, our own fans shouting abuse at us, you know. A bit weird. But I'm glad we got in. Oh, I remember that, Marion, the Clydesdale Football League review book. That was great. I used to love that thing. Used to come out every year. I had plans of the stadia. Away, home, and it was like covered terrace, uncovered terrace. Great colours. Had all the colours. That was a good book. That was like the wee red book, but brilliant. Loads better. Nice stats from the year before. Real glossy. Everything colour. Nice. 80s. Anyway, I'm out of here. Gonna get my dinner. Get my daughter's dinner. See you all later. Alright, good night.